All right, good morning, everyone. To introduce myself, my name's Ishwar Iyer. I'm one of the lead forecasters here at the Weather Service in Wakefield, and I appreciate everyone jumping on here for our live briefing focusing on impacts from Hurricane Erin, which continues to track to the northwest. And we now have tropical storm watches for part of our area. Although the main message has not changed a whole lot, that confidence has increased, especially near the coast for some tropical storm force wind gusts, and that's why the watch has been issued. And we're still expecting, widespread moderate coastal flooding by Thursday, with water levels peaking Thursday evening, and with major flooding possible across the parts of the lower bay, Virginia Beach, and Currituck County, and then dangerous marine conditions expected as well. So here are key points. Just to reiterate, the tropical storm watch is now in effect for all the Atlantic waters, in addition to the mouth of the bay, Virginia Beach, and Currituck County. That does include the Currituck Sound as well. And we'll get into wind probabilities and timing and all that here in a little bit. But for now, yeah, the confidence continues to increase, especially near the coast. And again, widespread moderate coastal flooding to major in spots is expected, with water levels peaking in most areas Thursday evening, although the peak won't be till Friday across the upper bay. And then again, impacts will be felt well outside the cone, just given that Erin is forecast to grow in size as it tracks to the northwest, north, and then northeast over the next few days. And of course, very dangerous swimming and surfing conditions are expected through the week, with significant dune and beach erosion possible starting Wednesday, and especially Wednesday night, Thursday night, and potentially into Friday as well. And here is the visual of the tropical storm watch for all the ocean mouth of the bay, and then Virginia Beach and Currituck County. And for the marine area, gusts to 45 knots are in the forecast from the north to northeast, starting as early as Wednesday night, with winds peaking Thursday into early Thursday evening. And again, don't focus on the cone. Again, the impacts are going to be felt well outside the cone, just given that Erin is going to be a very large storm when it tracks offshore the Outer Banks. And the main impacts for our area, of course, will be wind near the coast, and moderate to major tidal flooding, and also significant beach and dune erosion. And then Erin will main impacts are expected Wednesday night through Thursday evening, with less impacts, although lingering coastal flooding still expected Friday, and then less impacts, especially as we get into the weekend, as Erin moves well away from the area. So I'm going to actually switch screens here, and we'll get into timing. Let's move this out of the way. Timing of when potential tropical storm force winds. So the map I'm showing here, this is basically the probability of tropical storm force wind gusts. So gusts of 39 miles per hour or greater. And stepping through, Wednesday evening, it's still south of the area. And then getting into Wednesday night, you start to see the potential for tropical storm force wind gusts across southern portions of the area, with increasing probabilities as we head into Thursday morning for the ocean and areas near the coast, especially in southeast Virginia and northeast North Carolina, with winds peaking during the day Thursday, and then a decrease in winds expected Thursday night, with most likely tropical storm force winds depart sometime Thursday night, if not early Friday morning. And then by Friday, the winds should generally be east to northeast of the area. So with the highest probabilities near the coast and much less probabilities even as you get maybe 60 to 75 miles inland when compared to areas like Virginia Beach, Currituck County, right along the Atlantic coastline. And these are just their cumulative max wind gust probabilities for the area, and then the timing for peak winds likely Wednesday night through Thursday evening. And these probabilities have increased since yesterday, so the trend has been a slight increase in probabilities, and we'll continue to monitor that trend, and we'll update that in future briefings as we get that new information and analyze it. And in terms of timing, again, the earliest reasonable arrival time probably Wednesday evening, Wednesday night. Although most likely arrival times of any tropical storm force winds is going to be early Thursday morning. And of course, the track is uncertain, so it could shift west or it could shift east, and that would either lessen or increase the probabilities depending on how that track shifts. So while confidence in the forecast is increasing, that's of course not a 100% sure thing. And this is just our deterministic maximum wind gust forecast from this morning, and we'll send a new update this afternoon. So certainly gusts of 40 to 45 miles an hour expected near the coast, with some higher gusts over the marine area. Note that this is in knots, so yeah, 45 knot gusts expected over the ocean, and 40 to 45 getting into the mouth of the bay, where there's the tropical storm watch in effect. And again, timing Wednesday night through Thursday evening. And again, we've shown this in several of our briefings. So just again, the Aaron is a very large storm, so the cone is definitely not a indicator of any sort of impacts or anything of that nature. It's just telling you where the center most likely will go. So our tidal flooding potential. Minor flooding is expected in spots during the high tide this afternoon and evening, although the greatest threat for tidal flooding is going to be Thursday, and especially that Thursday evening high tide where you see, moderate to major tidal flooding expected, depending on your location. And that corresponds to 2 to 3 feet of inundation above ground in your vulnerable or flood prone areas. And then note that tidal flooding still expected on Friday, minor to locally moderate across the south, with actually, as water gets trapped in the bay, the water levels will peak Friday across the areas in the mid to upper bay, from Tappahannock, Louisetta, Dorchester County, down to Crisfield, in that minor to moderate range. And then, of course, we have the high rip current risk across all the beaches through the week. Very dangerous swimming conditions. This is definitely, I'm sure, as you know, this is more than your typical high rippers. This is very dangerous marine conditions are expected, especially by Wednesday and Thursday. And just going through some of the tide forecasts, you can see, tides gradually build through the week. This is, across the lower bay and James River, Lynn Haven in Virginia Beach. You can see major floodings forecast, and Sewell's Point, we're looking at a crest in the moderate range, and same with Jamestown. You are getting above that, at least a few tenths above that 4.5 foot threshold there. And that's that Thursday evening high tide with nuisance to minor flooding expected today and tomorrow. And that Thursday evening high tide, that corresponds with the peak winds as well. In the upper bay, you can see the minor through Thursday, and the peak water levels are not shown, which will in these graphs yet, since it's would be Friday, and that's beyond the forecast period for now. But future briefings and forecasts, they will show that that more specifically there. And then finally in the ocean, expecting high and minor to moderate flooding depending on your location, with water levels peaking Thursday evening with lingering coastal flooding through Friday, from Ocean City down to the Southeast Virginia and Northeast North Carolina coast. And then in terms of rainfall, we're not expecting a whole lot, that much rainfall for most of the area with the system. Of course, today actually is your greater flash flood threat. We've already seen some flooding across the eastern shore today, and then in yesterday down towards the peninsula. Tomorrow, precipitation chances are a little lower, than increasing Thursday across our southeast counties, where you may potentially see some of the outer rain bands sneak in, causing some localized amounts, probably potentially in excess of an inch on the high end. But that's the main threat with this system, is going to be that wind and tidal flooding and beach and dune erosion versus any sort of rain and or anything like that. So switching gears to the marine, dangerous marine conditions are expected, with the worst of it again Thursday evening and into Thursday night. And this graphic I've already shown, but in terms of timing, you can just see the peak gusts out of the north to northeast at 40 to 45 knots. And then winds do diminish considerably as we head into Friday and Friday night. And beyond that, you'll definitely have some lingering swell into the weekend, but winds generally be sub-small craft after the storm. And then again, dangerous seas of 12 to 16 feet are forecast due to both swell and wind waves. We'll get to that here in a second. And even into the bay, 5 to 8, 5 to 9 potentially, as you get towards the mouth of the bay. And then here, this is just for the marine partners out there. Here's the Hansen plot, just showing your swell out of the southeast, and also the shorter period wind waves out of the north to northeast. It just the combination of that will again create dangerous marine conditions, especially during that Wednesday night, Thursday, and into part of Thursday night time frame there. So with that, we will send a full updated briefing out this evening between 5 and 5:30 p.m. as we get the latest information from our forecast as well as the Hurricane Center. And with that, please feel free to ask any questions. Thank you everyone for your time.